From timcast.com, North Dakota man admits to running over and killing teenager for allegedly being part of a Republican extremist group.
Gosh.
This is crazy for a variety of reasons. Look, it's been a couple weeks since Joe Biden said that MAGA Republicans were an extremist threat to this country. And we said that's dangerous rhetoric. That's the kind of tribalist rhetoric that results in violence. The left likes to claim, oh, Donald Trump's engaging in stochastic terrorism. And what he's saying is going to result in violence against journalists, no less. Now, what stories do we get? A Democrat is allegedly is arrested for allegedly murdering a journalist. And then it is what I can only assume is some unhinged liberal who he hunted this kid down. The kid apparently called his mom saying he needed help because the guy was chasing him down. And then he chased him into an alley and crushed him with an SUV because he was a Republican extremist. This kid...
Alleged extremist.
Alleged. Yeah. Well, right. He accused him of being a Republican extremist, part of a Republican extremist group. That's was his justification. This guy, it's a cult. These people have paranoid delusions. Joe Biden is inflaming them, and yet they keep pointing the finger at the dude in the MAGA hat sitting in his lounge chair drinking a beer watching the game.
Problem with pointing the finger at any group is like, and I'm going to use the age-old Nazi metaphor, but like people are like, I heard this meme going around, punch a Nazi in like 2018. I'm like, no, okay, this is a bad road to go down. You might think that the Nazis were the bad guys, and maybe they were, but the Nazis thought the Jews were the bad guys, and they thought the Jews were an extremist radical organization that they wanted to remove from the country. You see how that went. When you start persecuting groups of people, it can get very, very bad.
It's tribalism. It's our side is the good side, and these people are evil. The only problem is there is truth and there is fiction. And so what do we have here? We have a show like this. Granted, we engage in tribalist rhetoric often as well. But I think there's a difference. For one, we say things like, hey, those guys who were violent on January 6th should be arrested and prosecuted. What do we hear from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden? Their staff and Kamala Harris personally bail these people out. We see violent riots sweeping across the country. What do we get? Justification. What do we get? Chris Cuomo saying, who said protests need to be peaceful? You get calls from the corporate press and the mainstream media justifying calling it a peaceful protest, and you get us begging them to stop. Even saying that the Trump people on January 6th should be charged as well. When you've got a right that's saying we want the violence to end and a left encouraging it, the left then blaming the right, but the left has actually got the ones who are literally running people down. Aaron Danielson shot and killed. Yeah, there is a serious problem, and there is a tribal problem.
And this is not the first time that this happened. There's a number of incidences in Washington, in Portland, all throughout the United States. In Colorado, I remember seeing footage of someone getting shot. Yeah. I remember there's other footage of a man at a part of a BLM Antifa rally that was hiding behind a wall that came out and shot someone because of their political opinions. There's a number of people that, of course, were shot, were killed, were executed for their political beliefs. And seeing this in the United States is absolutely horrible, because the United States is supposed to represent free speech. It's supposed to represent a country where we could talk through our differences and be able to speak freely and be able to accept each other for our political differences. But now we're meeting speech with guns and people shooting each other, which is absolutely crazy.
I was just going to say, everybody keeps talking about how badly we all need to be communicating with each other. But when you see things like this and all the instances that you just listed off, I mean, this is why people keep their voting preferences private. This is why people don't want to engage. They're actually scared. You
don't need to live in a state of constant fear and anguish over it, but to deny it is worrisome.
I think that it has come here, and I feel like the guy driving this SUV who killed this poor kid, oh my gosh, my heart breaks over this, was probably Blue Anon. He's probably on Twitter getting all fired up, and he's taking it out to the real world. I think this is also the guy who shot that guy in Portland, and probably what happened in Denver too that Luke was referring to earlier. I think it's coming to the real world.
Is there any evidence if it was personal between these two guys?
He knew the kid's mom. Apparently the mom knew who he was. I don't know if they knew each other. But apparently what happened was there was a street dance party. The kid was leaving. They had some political words between each other. Probably something like FJB or F Donald Trump or something. Who knows? And then this adult 41-year-old man confronted an 18-year-old. The kid's got spiky hair and braces. Jeez, yo, be an adult. Be a man. And be like, get out of here, kid. I ain't got time for this. Yep. Walk away. No. The dude gets in his car and starts hunting the kid down. The kid calls his mom and says he needs help because the guy's chasing after him. The dude then follows him to an alley, runs him over, crushes him, killing him. And by the time the mom gets there, she finds her son dead on the
It's
ground.
horrible. It makes me sick.
All right, guys. That was a shorter clip that I edited out from a longer video from Temple RIL, which is like their roundtable show that he does. Yeah, I've heard about this story, and I was kind of looking for something to prompt me to talk about it, about the man who murdered this, or allegedly murdered this kid. He was arrested for murdering with a vehicle this kid because he labeled him a right-wing or Republican extremist. And there's a couple of things I want to break down here, and one of them is, can you imagine the mother at that point, like listening to her child basically scream for help, and like, I don't know if she was on the phone at the time or when he got crushed by the SUV, but basically hearing your son's last words in terror as a mother, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Like, that's heartbreaking. And the other thing is, we remember the Biden speech where he looks like great Darth Vader with the red background, dressed in all black. And I did a video about that, responding or reacting to Tom McDonald talking about that speech and saying, like, don't get angry, they just want you to get mad, they want to rile you up so they can, like, you know, TikTok you getting upset and then call you an extremist. That video blew up, by the way. That video went viral, and I just wasn't really expecting it. It was like a last minute video that I decided to react to. And him saying these MAGA extremists, we live in a time where everything is hypersensitive. So your definition of extremist isn't everyone's definition of extremist. There's people who think if you believe that there's two genders, or a biological male can never be a female, or kids shouldn't take hormones, puberty blockers at age 11 or 12 years old or 5 years old, they can't choose their sex or gender. If you don't believe that obesity is healthy, if you don't think just because you don't want to date a trans person makes you transphobic, those are people that think those ideas are extreme, right? And that's proof and evidence of when Matt Walsh went on Dr. Phil and talked about basically the basics, scientific biological fact between men and women, and then this woman says, like, well, he has extremist ideas. Those are common sense ideas that most people on this planet have.
With children, you know, there's also just a basic confusion that all kids have. Like, that's why when you hear a parent say, "Oh, my 4-year-old son came to me and said that I'm a girl now, and so that's what I'm gonna raise him as a girl." No, you're a 4-year-old. I have 4 kids. When a 4-year-old boy comes to you and says, "Oh, I'm a girl," here's a good follow-up question: what is a girl? Ask him what he means by that. What do you mean by girl? And when you ask him that, here's what he'll tell you. He will tell you what he really means is that he wants to do some of the things that girls do, like play with the dollhouse, or you know, he likes the color pink. That's fine, play with the dollhouse, but you're still a boy.
There's the extreme approach that you are admittedly taking.
She began by saying that my view is extreme. Okay, so the view that every single person on earth has held up until 15 seconds ago is extreme, and the view that almost everyone does right now still hold as extreme, apparently, according to her. But
so someone can say, well, he meant like the ones who want to destroy democracy. But still, as a president, just like if you want to hold Donald Trump to a higher standard of what words that comes out of his mouth and how people are perceiving them back, you have to understand that not everybody has the same definition of extreme, right? And I had a comment the other day about the video that I did with Michael Moore and Bill Maher, and I was saying how, like, using these words like traitor, you know, trying to destroy democracy, all these things, that is going to rile people up because you're demonizing the whole side. And this guy kind of criticized me, saying, like, he was talking about the politicians. You're putting words in his mouth. And he wasn't, because he said the traitors, especially the politicians. That's added to. He didn't say those trading politicians. He said these Republican traitors, especially the politicians. So he was talking about Republicans.
I think that there is going to be such a landslide against the traitors especially the 147 Republicans.
But regardless if he was talking about the politicians or not, you have to understand how people are going to read what you're saying in this very hyper tribalistic ideologue culture that we're living in today. Even if he was just talking about the politicians, when these people are literally living in some sort of derangement on both sides, when he a traitor to the country, they're going to destroy our democracy, they're going to take our freedom, we're going to be living in a handmaid's tale, that's going to trigger someone and says, like, I need to do something about this, right? And so it is creating this very, very scary divided nation. You know what I mean? And in the longer video that I clicked out of, Tim Pool does continue to talk about, yes, on your everyday basis you don't see it because usually you live in a bubble, right? Liberals live amongst liberals in liberal cities, so liberals usually get along quite well, and conservatives usually live in more conservative, more moderate cities, so they get along quite well. So in your everyday you don't see this really like brink, this edge that society is on right now. But when you get one person from a different tribe in a room with another person from a different tribe, when you don't know how to even communicate and you break down in this name calling and this finger pointing, it's really dangerous. And that's why everybody keeps talking about this C war, right? And another thing I wanted to say is the tribalism aspect of it. Tribalism on either side can get dangerous. This is not just a one-sided thing, and this is why I constantly say I do not belong to a tribe. I do not have a label, because people who label themselves usually become sheeps and followers themselves. You can be a sheep on the right wing and you can be a sheep on the left wing because you just go, I'm a Republican or I'm a liberal, so I just believe in everything under this label without analyzing and dissecting each issue on its own, right? And so you become a follower. You just find a conservative or a liberal speaker and you just go, yeah, I believe everything they're saying because they're conservative. I believe everything they're saying because they're liberal. I believe everything they're saying because they're religious, instead of being an individual and a critical thinker and thinking about each individual situation and circumstances, an idea on its own. So you become a sheep, you become a follower, you stop thinking for yourself, and you can become more and more and more fanatical, indoctrinated, and radicalized. So a lot of these labeled groups become cults with cult-like thinking, and then they become tribes, and they become tribalists, and it can become very, very dangerous. I'm not saying it's not okay to label yourself something, because labels mean things. It makes it easier for people to define you or define your ideology. I get it. But you have to be really careful to make sure you're not just falling into another echo chamber, another tribe, another cult-like thinking just because it's on the other side. A lot of people who consider themselves conservative, religious, Republicans act just as emotional reactionary than the liberal, progressive SJWs. You're doing the same things if you're not thinking for yourself as the people that you're making fun of. Anywho, I think this is a terrible thing, and I agree that for the most part, the left, the progressives, the Democrats completely ignore when the violence comes from the other side. This man was obviously deranged, and that's scary when it comes to cult-like and tribalized thinking, because usually the extremists and the fanatics are the ones that have mental issues. And so it's not just because he was a liberal, but still his actions are his own, to be held accountable, responsible for himself. But still, he was brainwashed and indoctrinated by all this division that you see on the media, right? But the left never, ever says, hey, we don't support this violence. We don't support this extremism. We don't support this radicalness. We don't support this. They, again, like he said, they forgive the riots. They forgive the looting. They turn a blind eye to all the violence. But if a MAGA supporter or a Trump supporter simply says, I don't know, I'm not attracted to men because I'm not gay, it's like he's a homophobic, hateful person instead of just a straight white male. But because they came up with this slogan of words is violence, then his words is violence, so he's being violent, right? But that's all I have to say about that. I hope I made myself clear. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can donate. My PayPal me link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop. Links down below and links to all of the internet platforms I'm on, my socials, including my Twitter, other ways to support me and other ways to contact me for business is always in the links down below. And if you like, you can super thanks. I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle. I live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go description box below and also in the comment section. Hit the link. Go subscribe to my travel vlog channel and or follow me on my travel Instagram. My stories is usually what's most up to date. And you guys have an amazing day. Bye.